Imagine waking up and feeling that crushing weight in your chest, the kind that makes it hard to breathe. The person who once felt like home is now gone, leaving behind a silence that's louder than any argument you ever had. It's like your entire world has shifted and nothing makes sense anymore. Your mind keeps replaying every conversation, every moment, every mistake. You wonder if you could have done something differently, if maybe, just maybe, you could fix this by saying the right words. But here's the brutal truth. Chasing after them, begging, pleading, or explaining yourself over and over again doesn't make them want you back. It only pushes them further away. Most people fall into this trap. They think if they can just make their ex understand how much they love them, things will go back to the way they were. But love isn't about convincing someone to stay. The more desperate you seem, the more certain they become that leaving was the right choice. That's why you need to do the exact opposite of what your emotions are screaming at you to do. This isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about shifting how they perceive you at a fundamental level. And that's where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about mastering them. It's about regaining control when everything inside you feels chaotic. When you stop reacting out of desperation, when you carry yourself with quiet confidence instead of panic, something shifts. They start to see you differently. They start to wonder if they made a mistake. They question whether they misjudged you, whether they were too quick to walk away, because nothing is more powerful than someone who refuses to be broken by loss. By the time you're done with this, you won't be the same person they left. You'll be stronger, more composed, and completely in control of yourself. And that's when they start to second-guess everything. That's when they start to wonder if they just lost something truly irreplaceable. If you're ready to take back your power and stop letting your emotions control you, drop a comment below with the word unshakable. It's time to reclaim your strength. There's a painful truth behind every breakup. When they walked away, they believed they could do better. Maybe they didn't say it outright, but deep down, that's what their actions meant. And that thought stings. It makes you want to prove them wrong, to show them they made the worst mistake of their life. But here's the thing. The goal isn't revenge. The goal isn't to win them back with temporary changes or to make them jealous for a moment. The real goal is to level up so much that whether they regret leaving or not, it doesn't even matter to you anymore. Because by then, you'll be on a whole new level, living a life so fulfilling that they become just a footnote in your story. The first shift is physical. It's not about impressing them. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing someone powerful staring back. Hit the gym, not just to get in shape, but to rebuild your discipline. Change up your style. Dress in a way that makes you feel sharp, strong, and untouchable. Fix your posture. Stand tall. Move with confidence. Make eye contact. Do these things for yourself because confidence isn't something you can fake. It's built through action. And when you carry yourself like someone who knows their worth, people notice, including the one who walked away. But looks alone won't get you far. The real transformation happens in your mind. Start reading, learning, expanding your knowledge. Challenge yourself. Pick up new skills. Dive into things you've always wanted to master. When you become someone who is constantly growing, it radiates a kind of energy that's impossible to ignore. You stop needing validation from anyone because you're too busy leveling up. That kind of mindset is magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't seek approval, who live with purpose. And the moment you stop seeking your ex's attention, you start becoming the version of yourself they never thought you'd become. Then comes one of the most powerful psychological principles, pre-selection. People are naturally drawn to those who are admired by others. When you build a life where others value and respect you, your own value rises in their eyes, especially in the eyes of the one who left. This isn't about making them jealous by showing off. It's about surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, who bring out the best in you. Maybe that means expanding your social circle, spending time with friends who uplift you, or simply being seen as someone who is thriving. When your energy shifts from needing them to being completely self-sufficient, it sends a message, one they can't ignore. And here's where a lot of people get it wrong. They think the answer is to flaunt their progress all over social media, hoping their ex will see it and feel a pang of regret. But that's not how this works. True confidence doesn't beg for attention. Yes, document your growth. Take pictures. Keep track of your progress. Appreciate how far you've come. But don't overshare. The most powerful move is to let them wonder. To let them hear about your growth through others. To leave just enough mystery that their curiosity starts eating away at them. At some point, they will look back. Maybe they'll scroll through old messages. Maybe they'll check your profile. Maybe they'll hear your name in passing and feel something they didn't expect. Regret. And if they do reach out, it won't be because of a carefully crafted post or a desperate attempt to prove a point. It'll be because they saw something real, a version of you that no longer waits, no longer begs, no longer needs them, a version of you they never thought they'd lose for good. By that point, though, the real question isn't whether they'll want you back. The real question is, will you even care? Nothing is more attractive than someone who doesn't need approval, who isn't waiting for anyone to choose them. It's a paradox that most people don't understand. The moment you stop caring whether they come back or not, that's when they start noticing you again. Indifference isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about actually reaching a place where their absence doesn't shake you, where your life is so full, so focused, that their actions no longer dictate your emotions. That kind of energy is rare, and when you have it, people can't help but be drawn to it. Weak energy is easy to spot. It's obsessively checking their social media, analyzing every post for hidden meanings, reacting to every little thing they do as if it holds some secret message. It's that urge to reach out, to test the waters, to remind them you still exist. But all of that screams one thing: lack of control. And the more you chase, even in subtle ways, the further they pull away. Desperation is repellent. Even if it's not obvious, they can feel it. And nothing makes someone less attractive than the feeling that they have power over you. But high-value energy, that's the opposite. It's calm, collected, and rooted in self-assurance. It's not about playing games or pretending to be unbothered. It's about actually being unbothered. You stop watching their every move because you're too busy with your own life. You stop overthinking how to respond because their presence or absence doesn't affect your sense of self. You become the kind of person who is so focused on their own path that whether they notice you or not, it makes no difference. And that's exactly why they do. And when they do reach out, because at some point, curiosity will get the best of them, how you respond is everything. Most people make the mistake of over-explaining, of trying to prove how much they've changed, of slipping back into the same patterns that pushed the other person away in the first place. But a high-value person, they respond with power. Short, confident replies, no over-explaining, no trying to impress, just calm, direct, and in control. They don't seek validation in that moment because they don't need it. The energy is simple. I'm good with or without you. And that is exactly what makes them second-guess everything. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood this deeply. He believed that we don't control external events, only our reactions to them. You can't control if your ex comes back. You can't control how they feel, but you can control how you carry yourself, how you spend your time, how much power you give them over your emotions. That's where real strength lies, not in trying to manipulate outcomes, but in mastering yourself so completely that no external situation can shake you. So here's your action step. Write down what you can control and commit to it. Your focus, your habits, your growth. The way you show up in your own life, not for them, but for yourself. Because the moment you stop waiting for them to return is the moment you step into the kind of power they can't ignore. And by then, the real question won't be whether they want you back. It'll be whether you even care. There's a simple rule when it comes to getting your ex to come back. You don't chase. They have to come to you. The moment you start reaching out first, over-explaining, or trying to force a connection, you lose all power. Attraction doesn't work that way. People are drawn to what feels just out of reach, what feels valuable enough to pursue. And if you position yourself correctly, they'll be the ones wondering what you're up to, not the other way around. So when they do reach out, and if you've truly leveled up, they will. It's all about striking the right balance. The biggest mistake people make is either going all in too quickly or acting so cold that it kills the conversation. You don't want to come off as desperate, but you also don't want to be so distant that they assume you've moved on completely. The key is to engage just enough to spark curiosity while keeping your emotions in check. Think of it like planting a seed. You're not trying to force something to grow overnight. You're just dropping a small hint, letting their mind do the rest. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through nostalgia. A simple, well-placed message can trigger emotions they weren't expecting to feel, but the wording has to be right. Saying something like, "I miss you," or "I've been thinking about you," puts them in a position of power. It makes them feel like they've already won. Instead, you want to remind them of a shared moment without making it obvious that you're trying to reconnect. A message like, "Passed by that old coffee shop, still think it's the best cappuccino in the city," does exactly that. It's light, it's casual, but most importantly, it activates a memory. And memories have power. They make people feel. Suddenly they're back in that moment with you, and whether they admit it or not, they start wondering what it would be like to experience that again. But nostalgia alone isn't enough. If they sense that you're just sitting around waiting for them, the effect disappears. That's why mystery is so important. You want them to feel like there's something new, something they don't fully know about you anymore. If they ask how you've been, you don't dump your whole life story on them. You give just enough to keep them intrigued. Been keeping busy, working on some exciting things, is far more effective than listing out every detail. It makes them curious. It makes them want to know more. And the more they wonder, the more invested they become. This is where most people go wrong with social media. They either overshare in an attempt to prove how great they're doing, or they disappear completely. Both extremes kill attraction. The goal isn't to make your life look perfect, but to make it look full. A few glimpses of you out enjoying yourself, focused on your goals, surrounded by good energy, that's enough. You don't need to spell everything out. In fact, the less you reveal, the more powerful your presence becomes. Now here's your action step. Write out 2 or 3 light, engaging messages you could send if the opportunity presents itself. Keep them casual, nothing heavy, nothing emotional. Think of things that trigger shared memories, inside jokes, or simple observations. The goal isn't to make them fall for you instantly. It's just to open the door, to plant the thought. And once that thought is there, it starts to grow. Because when they realize you're not chasing, that you're perfectly fine without them, that's when they start chasing you. When an ex starts showing interest again, most people make the same mistake. They give in too easily. The second they get a message, they drop everything, act overly eager, and let their emotions take over. But if you do that, you're sending the message that you were just waiting around, hoping for their return, and that kills all attraction. You have to remain a challenge, someone they have to work for, not an open door they can walk through whenever they feel like it. The first meetup, if it happens, needs to be handled with complete control. This isn't a reunion. This isn't a moment to pour your heart out or bring up old feelings. It should be light, casual, and most importantly, short. Think of it as giving them just a taste, not the full experience. Your energy should be relaxed, nonchalant, like you're happy with your life, with or without them. No deep talks about what went wrong. No "I've missed you" confessions. If anything, your attitude should say, "I'm good either way." That's what makes them second-guess their decision to leave in the first place. And here's where it gets interesting. At some point, they're going to test the waters. They'll ask about your love life, trying to see if you're still available, if you've been sitting around heartbroken, or if you've moved on. Your response here is everything. If you say, "I've just been focused on myself," it can come across as avoidance. If you say, "I haven't met anyone like you," you just handed them all the power. Instead, you want to strike the perfect balance between intrigue and independence. Something like, "Been meeting some interesting people, but honestly, just focused on my own growth." That does two things. It makes them curious about who these interesting people are, while also making it clear that your life isn't centered around them anymore. That's the kind of response that lingers in their mind long after the conversation ends. This taps into something called the scarcity effect. When something is too easy to get, people take it for granted. But when it feels rare, when it feels just out of reach, its value skyrockets. That's why you can't make it too easy. You don't jump at every opportunity to meet up. You don't text back immediately. You don't rearrange your schedule to accommodate them. You stay busy, stay focused, and let them feel like they have to earn their way back into your life. Because the truth is, they do. And here's the final most important move. You walk away first. Whether it's the conversation, the meetup, or the text exchange, you end it on your terms. You leave them wanting more. If you're meeting up for coffee, you don't sit around until the conversation dies down. You say, "All right, I've got to get going," and you leave while the energy is still high. If you're texting, you don't keep the conversation going until they stop responding. You send a strong, confident last message and step away. This leaves them wondering, replaying the interaction in their head, and feeling like they need to put in more effort to keep your attention. So here's your action step. Next time they reach out, don't react emotionally. Stay calm, keep it light, and most importantly, make sure they're the ones investing in the interaction. Because when you stop being so easy to reach, you suddenly become someone they can't stop thinking about. And this is where everything shifts. Attraction isn't something you talk your way into. It's something you embody. It's not about the perfect words or strategies. It's about the energy you carry, the presence you have, The quiet confidence that speaks louder than any text or apology ever could. By now, you're not waiting for them to come back. You're not playing games or trying to manipulate the outcome. You've done the work, you've evolved, and now they see it. The most powerful thing you can do isn't to convince them, it's to become someone they feel drawn to naturally. The moment they realize you're no longer chasing, no longer waiting, no longer dependent on their validation, something inside them shifts. They start questioning everything. They start wondering if they made a mistake. But here's the thing. Whether they come back or not, you've already won. Because you're not the same person they walked away from. You've built a life that excites you, with or without them. You've mastered your emotions, controlled what you can, and let go of what you can't. That's the ultimate Stoic move. Not needing anyone to complete you, not relying on external approval to feel whole. You hold the power now. And when they do come back, because chances are they will, it won't be because you begged. It won't be because you convinced them. It'll be because they saw the change, felt the shift, and realized you're not someone they can replace. So if you've made it this far, drop a Stoic power in the comments. Let the world know that from this point on, you're in control. And if you're ready to take back your power for good, subscribe to the channel. Because this isn't just about getting someone back. This is about becoming unstoppable.